Hey there, welcome to Craft Central Designs. Today I'm sharing with you a very beautiful, very grand in size deco mesh and autumn florals fall wreath. This one would be gorgeous over a fireplace mantle, on a front door, over a foyer table, or anywhere where you would love a gorgeous demonstration of autumn colors. Today I will demonstrate how I created this one, and along the way I will share with you some tips and tricks that I have learned and developed along the way in my wreath making journey over the years. Welcome to all to my channel today, and if you're not currently a subscriber, I would like to invite you to become one. Don't forget to set your notifications so you will be alerted whenever I upload a video in the future. So much coming up, and I don't want you to miss a thing. Also, please share this video with others and give this video a thumbs up. And of course, I love receiving your questions and comments. Okay, let's get busy creating this gorgeous autumn wreath. Let's look at the materials that you will need to create this beautiful wreath. I have here a 16-inch wire wreath frame from Hobby Lobby. It's very sturdy, very nice wreath frame. You could as well, if you wanted to make it smaller, get a 14-inch one from the Dollar Tree, or if you wanted it a little bit bigger, they have 18-inch wreath frames. I have 2 rolls of deco mesh here that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, 40% off. One is a buffalo check. The other one has a little pumpkin pattern on that deco mesh. I also have a pack of pipe cleaners that coordinate with the piece that I'm going to be doing. I have my measuring mat, my rotary cutter, and scissors for creating the deco mesh bundles. Of course, I have ribbons. Now, I'm showing you, that's a beautiful buffalo check ribbon, but it does not go with that other buffalo check. It's just not a compatible color. I have here a plaid. Again, I just didn't think that was an appropriate ribbon for this piece, but I like to bring out all my ribbons and just put them up to my deco mesh and see what really seems to make sense as far as color coordination. This ribbon is exquisite. That is at Hobby Lobby, and so I'm actually adding a little bit of gold to this wreath. I have here a very beautiful burlap 2.5-inch wired ribbon from Hobby Lobby. Gather together whatever ribbons that you have, whatever you think will look beautiful on an autumn wreath. Here are some gorgeous small sunflowers, absolutely beautiful. Look at them and how exquisite they are made. I've got 2 stems of those, and that's going to bring a lot of that rusty orange color into this wreath. I have here some pumpkins. I love these. They come on kind of a skewer or a stick. They're so pretty, and I'm going to be using 5 of those on my wreath. They have a little cute wood stem or peduncle, really cute. And I'm showing you an alternative to that, which would be the velvety pumpkins. Those come on a stem at Hobby Lobby. Now, at Hobby Lobby, they have a section with the long stemmed florals, and then they have the shorter pieces that you can decorate wreaths with in another section of Hobby Lobby. So be sure you look for both of those at Hobby Lobby. This is a bigger sunflower. I didn't end up using a bigger sunflower, but you could use a big sunflower on this wreath. It's certainly big enough, but those sunflowers are beyond exquisite, just stunning, and just absolutely so beautiful and lifelike looking. Okay, I love these little pumpkins. I call them grapevine pumpkins. I used 3 of those, and I got those at Hobby Lobby. I also have some of these little, I guess I'll call them pods. Those, again, Hobby Lobby, but they really pick up that cream color in that deco mesh on the wreath. All right, let's start creating our bundles. I have here my buffalo check. This deco mesh is very pretty, and it's very soft. It almost feels, I guess, spongy to me, but I love working with it. It's super soft. We're going to cut 16-inch length pieces. I'm going to be pairing that up in a bundle with that other deco mesh. Now this deco mesh comes in a roll at 10 inches by 30 feet. The other one comes in a length of only 18 feet. So you're going to get more bundles out of this one. You will actually have some of this one left over. But it's adequate for as many bundles as I need for this piece. I did use 2 full rolls of the deco mesh with the little pumpkins on it. And I did buy 2 rolls of this buffalo check, but I do have some left over, but that's just fine with me. I'll always find a use for it. Okay, so you can see here we're creating the woodland method bundles. This is so easy to do. If you are new to deco mesh wreath making, I'm going to explain to you how we do this. I cut my deco mesh in 16-inch lengths. I'm going to turn the curl side up, place my hands on the outer edges so that I can start a nice roll. I'm going to roll 3 times, and then I'm going to place a clip on it. Now, I'm going to stop here for a second because I didn't have my deco mesh just cut in a nice straight line, and that's really important to start your rolls. Okay, so I'm good now. And I roll it up 3 times, place the clip, turn it around, do the same on the other side. I put my hands out at the edges initially so that I could get my rolls started. See how that's uneven there? Well, I'm just going to even that up. And then I'm going to place my hands so that I can get a good roll started. Then I move my fingers to the center, scrunch down that deco mesh till I get to the other side. And then I'm going to take that piece, crisscross it over the buffalo check bundle that I just created. Take a half a pipe cleaner. Notice how I use one that coordinates with my piece. And I'm just going to start creating bundles. Okay, I'm going to do bundle number 2. I'm going to do one more for you. 16-inch pieces on both of those. Start it with your hand on the edges of each side. Start rolling it up 3 times. Place a clip. I get my clips at the Dollar Tree. Roll up the other side, scrunch down the center, and clip that. Then I'm going to prepare my other piece of deco mesh. Rolling it up, placing my hands on the edges to start that nice tight roll. 3 times I roll it up. Place a clip on there. And then I'm going to turn it around and do the exact same thing on the other side. Now I placed on my 16-inch wire wreath frame 26 bundles. If you're doing a 14-inch wreath, go with around 20 to 22. If you're doing an 18-inch wreath, maybe around 30. That's going to give you a huge wreath if you do that on an 18-inch, but you do you. If you're doing it over a fireplace, go for it, because nothing like a beautiful, grand-looking autumn wreath. Mine is going to the Quantum House, so, you know, you could virtually put that wreath anywhere in the Quantum House and it will look gorgeous. The ceilings are very tall and have a big, huge lobby when you walk in. So yeah, that's going to look really pretty there. Okay, now we're going to start applying the bundles to the wreath frame. So the bundles go on top of the wreath frame. Obviously, you're going to turn it over and attach your bundles with those little tails of your pipe cleaner where you wrapped it around your deco mesh bundles to form them. And you're just going to twist it on the back and attach all of your bundles. Now, in the beginning, it's going to look wonky and loose and floppy. Don't worry about that. After you get all of your bundles on, you will see how it will all come together beautifully. I used the second wire and the third wire, and I just rotated back and forth as I placed on my bundles. Look how pretty of an application that is using those 2 deco mesh from Hobby Lobby. Now, I do like to fuss over my wreath. Surprise, surprise. When I get all of my bundles on, and I like to go around if anything came uncurled. I like to recurl it, if you will. I like to push my deco mesh away from the center a little bit because I don't want my deco mesh to close up the center of my wreath. So that deco mesh, you can really manipulate it. And see what I'm doing there? Pulling it away, creating some center, if you will, to my wreath. Now, this is important, especially if you're going to put a sign in there. I'm not putting a sign on mine, but if you wanted to, you can manipulate your deco mesh to do that. Now, I did create a few extra bundles just in case I needed them. And I actually did use them. So I didn't have any of that cream color with the pumpkins, but I did just take my buffalo check and just created a few bundles. Now, another tip for you. If you have finished putting on all your deco mesh and you have some little spots, you don't have to necessarily put a full bundle on. You can take one piece, roll it up as you saw me doing, and just wrap a pipe cleaner around it and fill in little spaces. Maybe you don't need a full bundle is what I'm saying, because sometimes too much is too much, but maybe you just need a little bit. You can vary that process by using just one piece of deco mesh. Okay, I'm showing you ribbons now. My burlap ribbon, I have that gorgeous ribbon with the gold leaves. Oh, that is exquisite. And I have my rusty orange. Now, I also have a burlap, that window pane burlap, I call it. It's not wired, and I did insert it into my wreath. But, as it turned out, I decided it was a little bit too much, and it was kind of getting squashed in the wreath. So I elected to take that out. So you're going to see that I actually used the burlap, that pretty gold leaf on rusty colored ribbon. I used that, and I used the burlap. Now, I'm going to make my loops around 12 inches in length. My tail is around 18 inches. I'm going to be putting my bow at 6 o'clock on this wreath, so I am going to want to have some ribbons trailing down from the wreath. When I do a wreath with a 6 o'clock bow, I generally do that typically on my wreaths. So now you're seeing me create a bow. You can use an easy bow maker if you like, or a bow dabra if you don't like creating bows in your hand. But this is how I do mine. I fold over my loops. These loops, again, are around 12 inches long. I fold it over with the right side of the ribbon up, pinch it in the middle, and then I twist my ribbon so that I'm always getting the correct side of my ribbon facing up on my bow. I'm going to put 3 loops on each side, 3 loops on the left, 3 loops on the right of my hand. I'm going to fold that over. Now watch how I pinch it in the center. See how I did that? Slipped it underneath my thumb, and I hold everything with my index finger and my thumb. You'll see me do this again on the next layer. I take a half a pipe cleaner. I'm going to wrap it around there nice and tight. That is going to be the base of my bow. Twist it in the back, pull my tails down, and I don't worry about doing anything with my tails as far as angling. I don't dovetail on my wreaths, so I'll be showing you how I angle. Okay, so all of my loops are symmetrical. It's very easy to make sure that I'm keeping them that way by just placing the loops up against one another. But you can also use some type of measuring tool. That's my little measuring tool you see there on the table. I made that in one of my videos last year. I just love it. It has cute little colored buttons. Anyway, I take it out just so I can, know exactly how long my loops are in length so that I can give you that information. I've been making bows for so long that I don't ever use a measuring tool. Everything for me is eyeballing. But if you learn how to make these bows, you will find with time you don't need a measuring tool either. Okay, it's just a matter of gaining the experience of doing it. Now, this is that really pretty ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby. I got mine last year, but they do have it again this year. I don't have a lot of it, but I really want to use up what I have. So because I don't have a lot of it, I'm going to just create 2 loops on each side. But this is still going to be good because it's going to peek out from my bow and really add a beautiful texture. Because when I say texture, I mean texture because those leaves are like they're raised leaves on that fabric. That's the best way I can describe it. I have another ribbon just like that, but it's got a cream colored background with raised leaves. Now, later on, you're going to notice that I did insert that ribbon into the bow as well, but only a few loops because, this was a really big bow. And when you're working with a deco mesh wreath, that deco mesh has got a mind of its own. And so you have to really push it back to insert your bow. And you don't want your bow loops to get flattened from the pressure of the deco mesh next to them. I'm going on and on here, but I'll show you what I mean by that here in a little bit. And I'm also going to show you a tip to keep your bow loops looking full. All right, this is that, I call it a window pane ribbon. It's like a jute ribbon. They have this ribbon, another version of this at Hobby Lobby in the regular ribbon section, but it's bigger panes. It's very pretty. I'm not sure where I got this one. Maybe it was on Amazon. I'm not really sure. But if you like the look of this, every other week at Hobby Lobby, that regular ribbon, the ribbon that they normally sell for every day, that's 40% off. So you could pick that ribbon up if you like the look of that. I actually think it's beautiful on an autumn wreath. Yeah, and pairs up beautifully with that burlap ribbon. Now, obviously I thought so, or I wouldn't have been making this bow. But it kind of just lost its shape when I had to apply it to the wreath. Now, sometimes I have a change of mind. That just happens. You know, it will happen to you when you start creating wreaths and designing your own. So sometimes you can backtrack. One thing I can tell you is even if you put your bow all together, you stack all the layers together and you wrap a pipe cleaner around it, it's never too late to take out a layer of your bow. All you have to do is untwist your pipe cleaner, remove the bow that's just not quite working for you, whether it's color or shape or the material that you're using that's on the ribbon. You can always take a bow out of your bow. I love to do mixed ribbon bows. That's very characteristic of me and my wreath making. Okay, now another characteristic of me is I like to use different width bows in my mixed ribbon bows. So this is a 1.5 inch. This is a beautiful rusty orange ribbon that they have at Hobby Lobby. And you can see here I'm folding over my loops, pinching it in the center, going from left to right to create my loops, making sure that they're symmetrical. And I'm doing 3 loops on each side. Now, I generally always, let's say always, not even generally, I always put something in the center of my bows. Now, I could have put a single loop down the center, but I was thinking that I was going to put one of those pretty pumpkins in the center of my bow. So I didn't finish any kind of center loop on that bow. And so I just created 3 loops on the left, 3 loops on the right with that 1.5 inch ribbon. Those loops are around 9 to 10 inches. So as I graduate up to the top of my bow, I make each one of my ribbon types, the bow, a little bit shorter in loop length, if that makes sense. This way you get a layered effect in your bow and you're able to see all of the pretty ribbons. So I have a full size pipe cleaner there now. I'm going to go about snipping off the back of the bows, the pipe cleaners on the back of the bows. This way I can get a nice flush application, bow upon bow, and so it will be a nice, nice looking, handsome looking bow. Okay, so this is my base, a very sturdy ribbon. I love to use a real sturdy ribbon on the base of any bow that I make. So burlap is always the answer for that because it certainly holds its shape and is beautiful to work with. Okay, next up comes my beautiful rusty ribbon with the gold leaves. Now what I do, notice how my hand is going right down the center and I'm pulling my tails and opening them up and I have my hand right down the center. See how my tails are divided, one on one side of my arm, one on the other. Okay, now I am putting this in here. This was before I decided, yeah, I'm not going to use that, but it's a nice texture and it's all very beautiful on an autumn wreath. So, if you want to use that, feel free. Maybe you're not using as many bows on. I'm using 4 layers on my bow, and that's a lot for a bow. Okay, so see how I open up my loops to receive the next layer? That next layer is the 1.5-inch rusty orange ribbon. I press it down, making sure all of my centers are aligned, pressed together. I'm really pushing hard there. That's what I was doing. Then I'm going to take that pipe cleaner, wrap it all the way around to hold all of those loops together. Now, see that window pane burlap really does look pretty on there. But the loops were not holding their shape well on the bow. So I think the one at Hobby Lobby is wired. If you want to use that type of ribbon, just the window panes are going to be a little bit, window panes, you know what I mean, are going to be a little bit bigger. So still very beautiful on an autumn wreath. So, think about that if you want to have that on your wreath. It goes very beautiful with the burlap. All right, so of course I'm going to fuss over my bows, which I do pretty much incessantly on my pieces. Even while I'm creating them, I just can't leave the bow alone. I am a bow fanatic. So, I think that a bow is critical and so important for that wow factor on a wreath. You don't always have to use a bow on a wreath. It could still be a great looking wreath without it. But boy, it really can add a lot. Okay, so I did do a couple of little extra things for that bow, and I'm going to show you that later on. But right now we're back to the wreath. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the back. And the reason why I want to do this now is because I don't want to put my bow on and then be turning my wreath over and smashing the heck out of my bow. So I'm going to go around and snip off all the excess tails on the pipe cleaner where I wrapped those pipe cleaners around to attach my bundles. I do this because I don't want it to be scratching the surface of wherever that bow is going to ultimately be resting. Another thing that you can do at this point is create your hanger. Now, I don't have anything on the wreath yet, so I could just be mindful of where I'm placing my hanger. Now, I know I'm going to place my bow on my wreath at 6 o'clock. So directly down from the 12 o'clock position, which is where I'm imagining that I'm placing this loop right now. That's going to be my guide to know where to put my ribbon, because I'm going to want my bow directly underneath at 6 o'clock. But if I do this part now, I'm good. And then I don't have to turn the finished wreath over to do it later. Now, all we're really essentially doing is creating a nice loop to hang this wreath by when it's all finished. And that's a very sturdy way to hang your wreath. Okay, pulling back my deco mesh again. So I looked at my wreath and I decided, where did I want to put my bow? Now, you could place your bow really anywhere. You could place it at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 7 or 5. That's up to you. I decided to do mine at 6. So I am now just poking my pipe cleaners from my bow through my wreath frame and attaching it. Now, I want my bow to sit more cradled in the bottom of my wreath as you look at the wreath, rather than have it toward the bottom of the wreath itself. So see how I set my bow high up at 6 o'clock? That's what I'm trying to say. Now, pull your deco mesh away from your wreath. Now, I ended up, because that wreath is so full, I ended up taking, I think, 2 bundles out of my wreath that I initially applied so that I could make room for this big bow. Now, if you don't make such a thick bow or a big bow, you don't have to do that. But for me, I had to. Okay, here's one of those little wreath or bow tips. Say that you put your bow on your wreath and you think, I really wish I had some longer tails, or I wish I had more tails. Well, this is how you can do it. It's never too late. There's always remedies to bows in my world. So I take the length of ribbon that I would like to see on my wreath, and I cut that. And I also decided I wanted some longer rusty orange. So I just kind of overlaid them upon one another, and I glued them. Now, all I'm going to do, this is so easy to do, is insert this up underneath my bow, right at the base of my bow, and I'm just going to hot glue it. And that just works like a charm. Now I have those extra tails that I really wanted on my wreath. I'll show you how I insert those later. Okay, I want some ribbon bundles on my wreath. I want to bring that rusty orange throughout my wreath. So I remember I have those pretty sunflowers I'm going to be putting on there as well. So I'm trying to distribute my color. Now on this wreath, I don't have any true like pumpkin orange. Everything that I did was more of that rusty orange and in shades of beige and brown and cream. Now you can do yours however you like. Maybe you want a pumpkin print ribbon. You know, you do you. I just try and inspire you to learn how to create a wreath for yourself. My goal eventually for all of my subscribers is to just learn the basics of how to put a wreath together. And eventually that you are able to do it independently without me telling you, put this here, do that, make your loops this, length or whatever. I mean, the goal is to try and teach you how to approach your wreath designing and to teach you some tips and tricks along the way to make it beautiful. Okay, so I just inserted my tails. I put a bit of hot glue on there. I lifted up all the tails, tucked it right up at the base of my bow, and now I have attached those extra tails that I really wanted trailing down from my wreath. And that's going to be so pretty. Now, if you don't like long tails, that's fine. Just cut your tail shorter. That was just my preference, but it's a fun trick. Lot of little bow tricks that I can teach you as we go along. Now, there's another bow inserted in there, as you can see, and that was that cream-colored background with the gold leaves. I just had a little bit of it, so I was only able to put a little bit of that in the bow, but it added a little bit more visual interest and coordinated beautifully. So I'm going to take some hot glue and put it on the bottom of one of those pumpkins that has that like straw feel to it. And I didn't put it straight in or flat in the bow. I tilted it a little bit sideways. And you know that's the way I like to do it. Okay, now those ribbon bundles that I created were 10 inches long. And I put 2 together, used a half a pipe cleaner, wrapped it around. And I did cut dovetails on the ends of my ribbons. Very rare that you'll see me do that. But when I do ribbon bundles, I do dovetail. Now, I created 8 of those. The ribbons, again, 10 inches long. I put 2 ribbons per bundle. I cut dovetails, put half a pipe cleaner around, twisted the pipe cleaner, and then I attached those ribbon bundles by the pipe cleaner to the wreath frame. I placed them on the wreath first before I start attaching to be sure I like it. All right, what am I doing here? Well, this is one of my little tricks. I take a little piece of the deco mesh that I use on the wreath itself. If I'm having trouble keeping my bow loops opened up, I don't want my bow loops flattened on my wreath. So how can I keep them looking full? Well, I take a little piece of the deco mesh that I use. I want to say maybe 10 inches long, and I roll it up and I cut the piece as wide as the ribbon, which would be 2.5 inches. I insert that deco mesh piece right into the loop of my bow, and it looks just fine because it's the same deco mesh that I use on the wreath. Now, feel free to use that little tip, and you'll see how great it works. To keep those little rolled up deco mesh bundles, just kind of like a little cannoli you're sticking in your bow loop, I put just a dab of glue to hold it in there, and boy, does that work like a charm. Okay, now I have my beautiful sunflowers. Oh my goodness. These are so lifelike looking, so beautiful. Those came on the long stems, so that would be in the floral department where they have the autumn florals. I used 2 stems. Those stems come with a bigger sunflower and then some little bit smaller ones. I'm going to place those around the wreath before I start gluing. Now, I want to say maybe there were 6 sunflowers on each stem, possibly more. I don't think I counted. But I used all of them and I placed them around the wreath, creating balance and symmetry. Make sure everything is distributed well. Think about your color. How are you distributing your color on the wreath? Okay, here's those very cute pods. I love these. These are in the section with the little bins of wreath embellishments in the autumn aisle at Hobby Lobby. I have about a couple of stems of those. So I like those because they bring out the cream color and add that cream color to the wreath, the cream color in the deco mesh. And they're just so pretty. Also, it coordinates well with the pumpkins. But again, I place everything around the wreath. I snipped apart the stems, by the way, just creating small bits of pods, and I place them around the wreath. And then when I decide I'm ready to go, I start gluing. Now you're going to notice as you start putting these small elements on your wreath, how your wreath starts to pop. It looks beautiful and textured. The color comes alive. It is just absolutely a joy to just layer your elements on your wreath and watch it just come to this beautiful fruition of color. Okay, see how it's happening? Okay, we have a few more little elements to go, but I can tell you that hot glue, I use Gorilla Hot Glue, the best hot glue if you ask me. I think it's going to hold very well if it's a wreath that's on the outdoor elements. And that glue, that hot glue, boy, does that stick well your embellishments to your wreath. That deco mesh is awesome for adding any type of elements where you're hot gluing. It just really helps to hold everything on. Okay, I have 3 of my little grapevine pumpkins. Love these. And I'm tilting them. Notice they don't sit flat on the wreath. You don't want your embellishments, your flowers, your pumpkins to sit flat upon your wreath. You always want to tilt them in different directions. Now I also have this very pretty eucalyptus-y type of a stem. This also was in the long stem in the floral department. It was on a long stem, and I cut bits and pieces of that and distributed that around the wreath, as well as some of those smaller leaves that I showed you. Now, what you put on your wreath is entirely up to you, but there's no lack of choice at Hobby Lobby, and assuming Michael's as well has a lot to offer. But the more the merrier on this wreath. Look how pretty that is. It has such visual interest. So I'm just going to go around the wreath and pop in all of my little pieces. And that was the last element on my wreath. And here you have the finished wreath. I hope you feel inspired to make one. Have fun. Go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or wherever you like to buy your florals. Just choose some beautiful color combinations and create a beautiful wreath for yourself. And I hope my little tips and tricks helped you along the way. This wreath, as I mentioned, is going to Quantum House. It's a facility that I donate my pieces to that houses families temporarily for a child in the family that's being treated for an illness. Okay, until next time, you all take care.